So thank you guys for coming for tonight. And I'm glad I'm so far away from you because I have pizza breath now. But so this is the Austin Christian Technologists and Entrepreneurs Meetup Group. If this isn't your group, you can't leave. So you're stuck here. But yeah, this is our first time downtown. And so first, thanks to Capital Factory for allowing us to be here. That's actually, it's great. And we love this venue. So this is our agenda for this evening. We've socialized, network. I'm going to say a little prayer, do some introductions. And we're going to have a pitch, which is mine. So it's fine. Matt Bell is going to be giving a talk over creating the future. Matt, raise your hand. There we go. There he is. And then we're going to do networking after. So if anybody says something interesting this evening that you find interesting, please connect with them afterwards. So don't run away, right? And be sure to take the pizza with you. So yeah, so let's... Oh, okay. I need to move this closer. Sorry. Can't even see anything. So, prayer requests. It's been a long time since we've actually met. It's actually January. So apologies for that. It was kind of hard pulling together. Most of you guys are new. Who's new here? Who's not new here? Okay. So just a note for those who aren't new here. One of our prayer requests for the last time we met was for Blake Freeberg, who had cancer. And unfortunately, he passed. He went back to the Lord a couple months ago. Was it May or April? Anybody remember? I think it was April. Yeah. So, so this is definitely a time. If you guys have anything that you would like us to pray for that's urgent, please let us know. Right now, Chris Armas, who's kind of the person who kind of helped bring this all together through the hackathons, and I'll tell more about that in a little bit. He actually was going to come tonight, and he got sick. So he's in Dallas, and but the pizza's on him. So he's probably watching on streaming video, which we're on streaming video right now, and they only see me. But there's like 1,000 people here, Chris. About 1,000. So you're going to get the pizza bill for 1,000 people. But if you could just thank him right now. There we go. Thank you. And because we're 1,000 people, if you could put money in a thing, that's a little bit off his bill. So, but that's for donations for the pizza. So that's one of our sponsors, Leadership Network. And so I'll be talking about that more. And I'll get back to the prayer. I didn't forget. Other announcements. Who's looking for a job right now? One person? I'm two. There's three, there's four. Okay, part of finding a job is being a little ambitious. Yes, I am looking for a job. Okay, so what are you looking for?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, what are you looking for? Like, who are you? What do you do? What do you want?
So I'm Austin. I've been here since I was 7 years old. And I'm a 3D modeler. That's what I'm absolutely best at.
Mm-hmm.
But I just lost my company a couple months ago. I was doing a lot of 3D for developing sites around Austin. I was trying to make an interactive 4D map of the city of Austin from subterranean to the top of the skyscraper at a sub-millimeter accurate detail. And I lost it due to a business partnership, I'll just say that. But right now I'm actually going through, do I go back to being a 3D modeler? Do I start two different ideas I have for startup companies? Or do I go to seminary? So I'm really kind of in the middle of a field. I don't feel like I'm being pulled necessarily in any direction. But two of the startups are in the Bible study world, and so those are kind of fun for me. Cool. But they involve basically everything I don't know how to do. So a lot of heavy code stuff, and a lot of not 3D things. But if anybody knows 3D people that are needed, I'm really confident about that. But other than that, I'm more of a social person.
And your name's Austin again, right?
Yes.
Austin from Austin.
That's right.
Excellent.
That's it.
So if you have any way to help him, to talk about him, you can do it after when we network. Find him. Next person. Who else? Yes.
So I would need to say, I'm not looking for a job, but our brand art director's here, and she is amazing. If you have anything, like any work being done, graphic design, she's kind of like working here on our project right now. But if you want to drop her off a card, she's doing like some other freelance stuff this summer. Award-winning, like she's really like humble, but I mean she's one of the best, and she works very cheaply. I don't want her to be stolen away from us, but yeah. So.
Thank you. Now you have to get a raise.
That's how it works.
Okay, who's next? Yes.
Hi, I'm Doug. I have a full-time job, but I'm trying to find something to do on the side. I, do websites or I love Linux, so I try to introduce people to Linux. I've helped them move from Microsoft to Linux.
Cool. Awesome. So again, contact these people. Who else?
I'm Sergey. Yes, I do speak KGB language. So most of my time I work as an analyst at financial institution. Now looking for other opportunities, like trying to develop my own consulting practice, business process improvement, process engineering. I have Six Sigma Green Belt. Also looking into opportunities of joining startup or launching, finding a partner to launch my own. I have a few ideas. I'm a member of Geekdom community in San Antonio. So that's pretty much it.
Cool. Awesome. Anyone else? That leaves me. So I have the stage. So Mark, Stefan, yeah, if you don't know me, that's okay. Looking for product management positions that I'm actively interviewing, so you better snatch me up. That's all I got to say. So hopefully. So yeah, who's hiring? Anybody's looking for anyone? Yes.
Yeah, we're Quantum Interface, and we're looking for a 3D modeler for a graphic person. The work would not start this month, it would start next month, in particular with the control system, showing 3D modeling, and then we use our interface to navigate through it. And if anybody knows anything about the drone industry, and then and also understands the AR and VR market, when you put those two together, then we're looking for, we've got one guy that's great, but we'd like to have 2 or 3, and that would start in a month as well.
Cool.
So,
There you go.
let me know if you've got those skills, and if you can code in JavaScript or Angular, let me know that too, please.
Cool. Who else? Yes.
Developers, specifically looking for Android, some iOS, feel like you're really, really good at it, but looking for Android developers.
Cool. Anyone else? Going? Yes?
We are looking for a founder / board member for a new accelerator program we're launching in town for women and minority entrepreneur startups. And so we've kind of filled most positions, but the one we're seeking is like a serial entrepreneur who's developed a technical computer 4 times, who either has time on their hands to be like on the advisory board for us, or wants to come on full time as we seek sponsorship and corporate partnerships and funding right now. So that's what we're looking for.
Cool. Anyone else?
Hey, Mark?
Yes.
I'd like to say something.
Of course.
This was the first meetup I ever came to, whenever I came a long time ago. And the majority of people that I still enjoy, that I consider the best, came out of this meetup, of the people that we work with. Darren's one of the guys. He's a friend for life as long as other people. And so, I consider you a friend, and the people that are here, I've been to a lot of meetups, and we've gone headhunting at a lot of meetups, and the majority of them came out of this meetup, and they're just phenomenal people from an integrity basis up. So, first of all, I want to thank you for doing it. I'm glad you started it. I hope you're around to keep it going. And, or maybe I don't. Maybe I don't.
Yeah, don't.
You can get a job somewhere else.
I could come back and visit. Yeah, hear that, advertisers? We're going to start selling advertising slots for jobs now. So, cool. So, other announcements, we do have a website Slack group. I encourage you all, please get on this group, because communicating prayer requests, activities, needs, job wants, side projects, Giphy cats, things like that, right? But we're trying to foster community not just here, but everywhere, right, throughout the city. And so please take a look at that. You can join by going to atx.exintech.org. It's a really easy process, so I hope you will sign up on Slack. Other announcements, so I may be on my way out. I'm not saying I'm on my way out. I may be on my way out. And so, but I do need help putting on these meetups. We actually used to have them every month, but that's really hard to do, right? Because we need to have speakers, we need to have topics, and people to food and drinks and setting up tables and blah, 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 So many hands make light work. So if you're interested in helping out, which I hope all of you are, join Slack and go to the group, the channel group meetup planning, and tell us you can help and how you would like to help. Even if you want to just figure out how you don't know how, go there. And do you know what? We hold a hackathon every year, except the last 2 years. Actually, we've held it twice. But the intention was every year, right? And so we're trying to put on a hackathon for this forthcoming year, and we need a planning committee, right? The number one thing we need right now is a venue. It's kind of hard to plan a hackathon if you don't know where to have it. So we're trying to look downtown. We have a couple potentials, but we definitely need help. And once we have a venue, then we need marketing. We need just so much. And there's like a spreadsheet of all the stuff we need. So if you're interested in hackathons, if you're not interested in hackathons, become interested. But it's really great. It's called Code for the Kingdom. That's actually how this group got started. We had a hackathon, and then this group got created out of it. Basically, it's Christians, or non-Christians, but it's really a Christian theme, taking technology and figuring out how can we advance the kingdom within 48 hours with ideas and helping. There's been projects to stop slave trafficking and homeless and prayer apps, and Bible study apps, and 1,000 other apps, right? So definitely, again, if you want to help with that, join the Hackathon Planning channel on Slack as well. So, are there any other announcements? I could have forgotten some. Silence. Okay, so I'm going to take that as no. So we're going to go back and we're going to pray.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes?
Does anybody know the wireless access code? Everybody get one.
Yes.
Yes.
You can,
Somebody knows it.
Click Capital Factory's Wi-Fi.
There we go.
There you go. There you go. Thank you.
And by the way, welcome to all the people who are streaming. I'm sure there's about 2 million at this moment. Yeah. Any other, if you had time to think about it, any other urgent prayer requests before I open us up kind of in prayer? Anyone? Okay. Father God, we just, we thank you that we can come together and just people of many different just jobs and things that we do every day, but just to come together and have a focus on you and you first, Lord. And so I just ask you to bless this time, bless our community. We ask you to bless those who couldn't make it, especially just pray for Chris and just to help him, heal him in all the ways that he needs healing, Lord. And just encourage him. And Father, just help us to be a body that is here to encourage one another, to spur one another on, to do good works and great things for your glory, Lord. Again, we ask you to bless this time and bless each of us. And may we get to know one another and truly be brothers and sisters in Christ and know one another. Thank you, Lord. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Cool. One other announcement. Somebody asked me, they would like to create prayer groups around the city. And somebody downtown specifically asked me. So if you're interested in like maybe once a week or once a month, getting together with other believers and just praying somewhere down here for the city or for your companies or for yourselves, there's probably a Slack channel for that. And if there is, create one. Because I would love to see that happen. Okay? So, the first pitch tonight is actually my own. And there's kind of a funny story here. Not really. I was actually supposed to present a launched app tonight, right? It was called Generous Prayer. And Generous Prayer is a prayer app. I guess you didn't guess that. But it's a mobile prayer app that uses technology. And we try to figure out how can we make prayer a more human experience. Instead of reading a list, how can we make it more engaging? And it really started in 2014 at the last hackathon, right? And unfortunately, my devs who started it aren't here. He must be working. He said he might not come. But it started at the hackathon as an idea, right? And the idea was, what if we had a mobile app that you could record your voice as a prayer request and have others access that? Very simple, right? And we actually did that on an Android device. Handy was the guy who worked on that project, and we didn't win anything, but we felt good about it, right? Anyways, it's moved quite a lot. And now this is the final design of the Generous Prayer app. Gone from maybe one screen, ugly screen, I don't even have a picture of it, to this very interesting app. And so, unfortunately, it is not, oh wait, I just got a message from Chris. Let's see what this is. Oh, okay, I'll tell you all later about that. I'm getting text messages from the audience. It's like interactive. It's exciting. Okay. So let me, you know what, I was going to do a demo. In fact, why don't, after the meetup, I'll do a demo, right? That way I don't take any more time because we're a little bit behind. But it's a pretty cool prayer app. And unfortunately, it's not launched because we found some bugs that we couldn't launch with. However, I coincidentally do have a website where you can sign up to be notified of the launch, right? And so please go to generousprayer.org because you're all part of this community, and I would definitely want you guys to use this. You can use it once, twice, 5 times, and if you don't like it, then you don't have to use it again. But I want at least to use it 5 times because it's part of this community. But the whole purpose behind it is that basically we use voice to record prayer requests. And then there's a prayer timer where basically I select the categories, and then I can just put it on autopilot, and it automatically starts playing this prayer request to me, gives me a minute pause or 30 seconds pause, whatever I choose, and then it goes to the next one. The idea was we wanted to create a prayer app that makes you have a connection with the person, so you hear their voice, but also it doesn't interrupt you in your prayer time. And so it takes over the phone, and it basically, if you want to pray for 30 minutes, it will have enough prayer requests for you to pray for 30 minutes. Every time you pray, it sends that person an instant notification saying someone is praying for you right now. So it's a really cool prayer app. We have, you can have your friend groups, you can have followers, and there's public prayer requests, there's anonymous. There's a whole bunch of cool features. Probably too many for an MVP, that's why it took so long. But definitely, I'll be presenting that afterwards, and so would love to get your feedback on that. And please sign up on it right here. But to get back to the main event, tonight Matthew Bell is going to be speaking, and I got the pleasure of meeting Matt, 3 months ago?
Something like that.
Something like that. And I couldn't believe I didn't know him before. I thought I knew every Christian technologist here in the city, and apparently I haven't. So that's why we need to do better publicity. But Matt really has a really interesting story. And I definitely just respect everything he's gone through and what he's learned and what he has to share and his vision, which is very much in alignment with my vision, which is getting Christians to realize that you don't go work at a tech company, make money, and then tithe, but that your skills and talents and you yourself are part of the tithe. And so how can you tithe part of yourself and give back to the kingdom? I'm not saying, every day, but maybe once a week or once a month, and this is where the idea of the hackathons comes from too. So anyways, without further ado.
Thank you, Mark. This is so awesome. Thanks to Chris for the pizza. Chris and I had played some phone tag trying to get to know each other and never actually formally connected. And I was hoping to meet him tonight, but we'll pray for you that you get well. But quick story. So I'm an entrepreneur, tech guy. Founded a company called Brewdrop. I'll tell you about that. Sold that to a company called Delivery.com recently, and now I'm an entrepreneur in residence here at Capital Factory. Also a mentor here at Capital Factory, and just super passionate, like Mark said, about seeing Christians take the lead in the economy, really take the lead in the marketplace, and I'll share more about that as we get into it. But when I was praying and considering, what to name this talk, Creating the future came to me. And maybe just because I read Peter Thiel's 0 to 1 too many times, and I'm a big fan of him. But my wife's been teasing me. My wife's sitting right here, so I'm gonna embarrass her. She's like, "So what is creating the future? What are you gonna create? How do you get the future?" So it's a very nebulous topic. Admittedly, it gives me a lot of freedom to really kind of take it in any direction I want. So a little bit about me. You can follow me on Twitter, connect with me on LinkedIn. But I wanted to share a quick story and kind of like take you through, as Mark said, I have an interesting story about what led me to being an entrepreneur. I started off in an entirely different direction. And I think that there's power in what God took me through. And that's part of what is inspiring me and kind of motivating me to see more Christians rise up and take the lead in business, in technology, in startups. So it really began for me with a lawnmower. So when I look at this amazing piece of American machinery, some of you might see chores, some of you might see things that your parents used to make you do for an hour every day during the summer or whatever. For me, this is the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. So when I was around maybe 8 to 10 years old, while all my friends were digging in the dirt, playing in the woods, swinging on the playground, whatever you do when you're that old, I was taking apart my parents' lawnmower. I would take it apart, I'd put it back together, I'd understand how it worked, I'd start it up, and I'd say, oh, I figured out how this worked. So the first business I started when I was about 10 or 12 years old was a lawnmower tune-up business. So I went to my parents, I said, Mom, I want to start a company. They were like, who is this guy? I'm 10 years old, and I asked them if they would help me start it. They were my first investors. They gave me $25 to go to the hardware store. My dad took me. We bought spark plugs, air filters, a file to sharpen lawnmower blades, carburetor cleaner, all of it to do a basic tune-up on a lawnmower. And then my mom and I got on our old Macintosh. This is like 92. So we had one of those old Macintoshes pre-Steve Jobs return, one of those big black gray boxes, and a laser printer. And we made flyers, and they looked really good because my mom was like a fanatic about Photoshop or whatever the design software was back in the day. And we went around to the neighborhoods. We put them in all the mailboxes, and we started to get calls. And so one of the guys that called was had like a stalled John Deere mower. And my parents fielded the call, and they were kind of just like, he's actually only 10. I don't know if he can handle taking apart a John Deere mower. And so that was like the beginning and end of my first company. So I threw down. I was pretty frustrated because I really wanted to handle that. I remember telling my parents, but I could have really fixed that thing. Typical redhead thinks he can do more than you actually can. So so I put like that whole entrepreneurial vision in the back burner of my mind. Something happened when I was little, and I just shut it down. So what I then did was adopted a vision for my life that was not what God put in my DNA. So I come from a town in New Jersey, which is a suburb of New York City, and the only professions that I knew that fathers did in the town I grew up were you're either a Wall Street banker, you're either a lawyer, or you're a doctor. So that was my framework for how I viewed my perspective of what I can do with my life. I abandoned entrepreneurship, and then I moved into focusing on that type of thing. So this is the career path that I went on. So I thought to myself, well, I don't want to go to school for 8 years, so we'll rule out doctor. So I tried the two other ones. So I went to work for a law firm called White & Case for about 2 years while I studied for the LSAT. And it was the most miserable experience of my life. I'm glad that I worked for a firm before going to law school, because it saved me insurmountable student debt and all this stuff. Ultimately, demanded it, but it was horrible. It just wasn't a fit for me. I was wearing Saul's armor. It was just not what God called me to do. And by the way, there's another piece of the story. So I grew up in a Christian home, a Presbyterian home. Gave my life to Christ at a young age. It was real. It was very authentic. Right around the time I was trying to fix lawnmowers, and then, but something happened. I got kind of disenchanted by the church I was going to, and ultimately wounded by the church, and I kind of rebelled against church for a while. And so right when I graduated college, I was like, I never gave up my faith, but like I was very much living in the world. It was like my prodigal season. I was doing whatever I wanted. I was not following God's will. Ultimately, why I ended up at a law firm instead of creating stuff. But during this time, it was right around 2006. I'll talk about that in a second. I had this huge encounter with God that just like totally took me out of the place I was in, put me on the right track, and changed my life. That's a whole nother story in and of itself. But you can kind of see where that big revelation happened. I left the law firm. I ended up in banking, and right around 2008. So the big revelation happens in 2006, and then I was stuck in these corporate jobs, like realizing that I was made for something different. And I was like, didn't know what to do. The credit markets cratered, and no one was doing anything in banking. So I left. I got into the tech space, and I really haven't looked back. Spent about 4 years at Shutterstock, pre-IPO, hyper-growth phase. Saw that grow from like 50 million to 350 million over the course of 4 years that I worked with them. Founded Brewdrop. Okay, now Brewdrop is an on-demand app for beer, wine, and spirits. So I might as well address the elephant in the room, as Mark did to me when we sat down for coffee. He's like, "Wait a sec, you're a Christian? You made an app for beer delivery?" I had no other response than, "Yeah, I craft beer." So we started out as a craft beer delivery app. We were the first of the kind in Austin. We ultimately adopted wine and spirits because the users were like hounding us about it. But I'll tell you, I'll jump ahead real quick to part of how like this ties into like the concept for creating the future is, as Christians, we often find reasons to stay away from things because it may not be what a Christian should do. It may be what religion tells us we can and cannot do. But ultimately, with Brewdrop, we had incredible data and access to our users, and they really loved us. And we were able to like identify user patterns and behavior, and we actually helped a couple users get treatment for alcoholism, and so it actually helped, right? So it was pretty cool. So when you think about how sometimes outwardly it might be not something that a Christian would normally do, we actually did a lot of good. We dramatically reduced with our user cohort, drunk driving, and we're able to help people. So like when you think outside the box, there's a lot of cool things that God could do. It also restored the relationship with my brother, who was my co-founder. So that's the short story. Sold that. Now I'm growth hacking at Treehouse, planning my next adventure. So what happened to me in 2006, you had this moment where I'm in this corporate job, hating like every bit of it. I'm commuting from New Jersey to New York City. I'm sitting at a desk all day long, reading legal documents, and just doing all the secretarial work for the lawyers, basically. That's what a paralegal is. You're just a secretary. And I had this encounter with God. And ultimately, but I wasn't like upset about focusing on law yet. I still thought that it was something that I should be doing, because this is how you make money. This is how you have a good career. You just work your way up to partner, and that's what you do. And what I was doing was following in footsteps that weren't mine. God didn't call me to it. So when I had this encounter with God, and it totally changed my life, recommitted my life to the Christ. This was in 2006, and ultimately, like, the veil was taken off. I was like, whoa, I started to remember that, well, God created me to be an entrepreneur. Like, this isn't creative at all what I'm doing. I'm a creative person. I like to build things. I like to take lawnmowers apart. And God really restored that, like, inner child in me that had been shut down because I was following things that really shouldn't have been what I was following because they weren't for me. So then I started to really study the Word. Like, I read like the whole Bible. Well, not all the Old Testament, I'll admit, but most of it. So I started to really study the Word, and like what happened to me during this time was like I started to believe like all of this, like with this incredible faith. Like I didn't just read it and like it nurtured me and made me feel good. Like I was like, I actually believe all this stuff, and like God gave me the gift of faith to really believe it, like in a very powerful way, and just like a lot of embarrassing ways for like friends and family, because I'd be going up to praying for people on the streets, and they'd be like, "Do you have to pray for everyone while we go out to lunch all the time?" And I'm like, "Yes, because God can heal them, don't you know?" And anyway, so this scripture stood out at me during this time. And so the Spirit of God who raised Jesus from the dead lives in you. So then I was like, whoa. I went from this is what I thought my life was destined for, to this. I was mind blown. I was like, wait a second. The same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead, that created the universe, and I had these conversations with my pastors. I'm like, that really lives in me? I was like blown away. I was like, wow, imagine what we can do with that creative force living inside of us. So, well, there's another part of the story I should tell before I get into the next piece is when I first got, had this encounter with God and recommitted my life to Christ, I went to my pastors because all I wanted to do was serve God. This is 2006. I was still in the law firm. I said to my pastor, I was like, all I want to do is serve God. I'm going into full-time ministry. And I went up to her with like this big smile on my face, like expecting to be welcomed arms by the pastor. And she just looked at me and she goes, why? And I was like, I was so baffled by that because she's a very prophetic lady. And she knew me really well by that point. And we had spent a lot of time in ministry together. And she said, you're called to business. Yeah, you might be successful, you might be effective in full-time ministry, but God's calls you to something else. And I was like, wow, another mind-blowing moment. I was like, really? So then I built a beer delivery app. No, but ultimately, I started to also really consume entrepreneur literature and stuff like that. And my wife also said to me tonight, no, don't quote Steve Jobs too much, because you know how you tend to do that at parties. I'm like, okay, I won't do that, but here's the only one. So everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you, and you can change it. You can influence it, you can build your own things that other people can use. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again. So when I started to think like this and put the Holy Spirit on top of that, it was like my whole world was flipped upside down. And to the point where I wasn't effective because I'm always going off into thought about I could create this, we could do this, and I'm like, you should ask my brother, who is my business partner on Brewdrop. We have email chains like business idea 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and all these archives of decks because we just have all these ideas. And I finally once I had this relationship with God renewed, I finally received license to pursue it. So I was taken out of what I wasn't supposed to be in, which looked fine on the surface. There's a lot of great lawyers, a lot of great bankers. There's nothing against the industry, but it just wasn't for me. So then I started to think about, other people that I know who are Christians, and I know a lot of Christians who tell me they're just totally dissatisfied with work, but they feel like God's put them there for a reason. I'm like, well, no, God's put you on this earth for a reason. He's put you on this earth with purpose. You may not know it all right now, but if you're not using your full skill set, you're not using the breadth of what he gave you, then it may be that you're in the wrong place right now. And you're never in the wrong place. This is the great conundrum with God. But everything works for a purpose. But it may be that during this time that there's an opportunity for you to do something really cool, really special. So what really drives me is I want to see more Christians become entrepreneurs. I want to see more Christians who are already entrepreneurs take the lead in helping raise up and disciple new Christian entrepreneurs, because very simply is we're called to lead, right? So the world right now, when you think about the macro perspective, what I'm talking about is creating the future. The future's happening, right? The future's being created. Technology's happening. The greatest wealth transfer that's ever taken place in the history of the world is happening during this time because it's so easy right now, where the barriers to entry to creating a new thing that can be successful are the lower than ever. So you're seeing Snapchat overnight, it's worth $16 billion. Instagram, 2 years, it sells for $1 billion to Facebook. Facebook, started by Mark Zuckerberg in his dorm room, college dropout. But one thing that struck me is that, to my knowledge, there's none of these founders are openly, or at least I know, Christians, right? So the world is being created, but we're not leading it, right? So that's what it really means for me when I think about how we can take the lead it's accessing that creative nature of God, which lives in us, right? Is everyone here a Christian? It's okay if you're not. No one's raised their hands. Raise your hand if you are a believer. Praise God. We all have the creative nature of God living in us, right? It's the Holy Spirit. So it's not just our opportunity, but it's really what Jesus called us to do, right? He said, go and make disciples of the nations. And a disciple is someone you teach. So that is both spiritual as well as just general in life. So for me, it grieves me when I see, I love it because I'm a user of all these great products. But when I realize that, hey, we have the creative nature of the universe living in us, and there aren't more Christian founders taking a lead in technology creation, it's more like we're participating in value and not creating the value. So that's what I've really been becoming passionate about, is helping to push more entrepreneurs, Christian entrepreneurs, into creating value instead of just participating. So when we work for companies, we can do great work, we can have great careers, we can have great lives. There's nothing wrong with it. But we have skill sets for technology. And we apply the creative nature of Holy Spirit to that. We can really be the ones that take the lead to really create the future. So I have a question for everyone. What does this number mean? Does anyone want to guess what this number means?
That's what you sold your company for.
That is correct. That is correct. Now I live on Mars. I'll give you a hint. It's the value of 5 companies, the enterprise value. So, well, that's changing every different day depending on the trading. But $2.1 trillion of enterprise value is controlled by 5 companies. That's 5 different founders or co-founders, maybe 10 folks, that control 2.1 in enterprise value. Like, what? That's mind-blowing. And to my knowledge, though, none of them are Christians, right? Or, I know Mark Zuckerberg's Jewish. Steve Jobs was maybe Buddhist. I don't know where Jeff Bezos is at. Bill Gates seems like a really cool guy, but he doesn't talk about God, So now think about that opportunity. We have the same playing field. The world was created by people that were no smarter than you or I, and we have an advantage, right? We have access to the creativity of heaven. So what I'm really focused on right now is figuring out how I can help more Christians realize that, hey, if we move away from just participating in value and using the stuff that's really cool, like we all have phones in here, we all use the products that were on that screen, that were created by the companies that are on that screen. But if we shift our mindset to a position of leadership where it may be small to start, maybe a side business, and maybe, hey, you're gonna make a blog or create a blog that makes extra money, and then you use that money to go and start something, or to fund a ministry. And there's a really long tail opportunity for people who want to do that, or who aspire to that, and that's so attainable. It's very simple to do, but it takes stepping out, right? It takes getting off the couch, really, and getting out and focusing on a macro perspective that, hey, this world's going to pass us all by unless we step up to the plate and take a lead on creating what's next. So it's not going to happen when we're snoozing at a 9 to 5. It's not going to happen when we come home from that 9 to 5. It's only going to happen when we lead the way. So that's part of what I'm focused on right now. That's why I'm mentoring entrepreneurs. So one of the things I was thinking about is, the question comes up is like, what does it mean to be a Christian company? Well, it means that there's a Christian entrepreneur who founded it. It doesn't mean you have to have a Christian business. You could. It could be generous prayer. It could be, I started a Christian company a few years ago that totally failed. But it could just be that you create a company, you employ people, and then the culture that you create is kingdom minded. So you honor your employees. You give charitably when there's the opportunity to do so. You give people the opportunity to grow and to learn, and you're not making decisions that are short-sighted and self-interested, right? So that's really, to me, is like, we don't have to just think like one particular way. Really, it's about exploding the box, right? God does not live in a box. but a Christian could create a beer app. Who knows? So that's really what I want to say, and I wanted to keep it short, but I wanted to take time to talk with everyone, and if you have any questions, love to answer them. Or if you don't have questions.
So when you're helping Christians in business, believers in business, what are you finding is the difference? I mean, there's a lot of investors in this town. There's a lot of people that invest in startups that lead that way. There's some that are believers, and most of them that I know are not. And yet even the ones that are Christians, there's no filter or criteria for Christianity.
Right.
It's all about the business model.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of who they are, which, since it's already a majority, non-Christians in what you're saying, it seems to sort of propagate and keep that dominance like that.
I think that's a great question, and I'm actually well prepared for it. I'm glad that someone said it. So one of my favorite quotes is about the topic. It's actually about politics. I promised I wouldn't talk about politics at all because my wife's like, don't talk about Trump. Don't talk about Trump. Because I'm always on Twitter like, I can't believe Trump said that. The lead singer of the band Five Iron Frenzy, it's an old Christian band that I used to listen to. This guy, Reese Roper, he has one of the greatest quotes on politics. I apply it to business. He says the problem with politics and Christian politicians, you call it businessmen, is that we made Christianity our politics instead of allowing Christianity to influence our politics. So to that respect, what I think about is you don't need to go into a venture meeting and meet with the partners and say, by the way, I'm a Christian and I'm going to tithe 10% of your investment to whatever ministry. You just go in there and you carry the character of Christ in conducting yourself in business. And I think that's it's a tough distinction to make. So if you look at the political world, it's really obvious there. You get politicians who get up on a platform and they just, they basically preach and it turns a lot of people off. But how effective would it be if Christian politicians just talked about sound government practice instead of creating, turning spiritual issues and religious issues into political issues? The same thing is what I feel can be said for business, is that just create a good business and be a Christian, right? And go and pitch an investor like anyone else would pitch an investor. When you get funded and you grow your business and you exit or you can employ people, the culture you create in that organization will be the character of a Christian-run organization because you're the one in the lead. So that's the way I view it. Is I think you don't need to lead with it. You don't need to come out of the Christian closet and tell people. It's like I think that just like you said, business model, come with sound business practice and. Let that, one of my other favorite quotes is, preach the gospel and if necessary, use words. Just let it be who you are and your character. That's how I do it.
So, a couple months ago, I attended a panel put on by the Rice Alliance on social entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of having a purpose-driven business plan. There's this concept floating around right now called B corporations.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I heard from them is, and some of the investor networks, Swan was there, if I remember right, a couple of them, they said they were having trouble having people that had good ideas or good intentions that would put together a sustainable business plan. Do you see that as something where we as Christian entrepreneurs need to focus some energies, is learning how to actually put together business plans that an investor could look at and say, yeah, this is sustainable, it's a for-profit business?
Yeah, no, so I've had this conversation with a lot of people. And usually, the way that I view this is, first off, social entrepreneurship I think is great. It's very hard. Empirically, it's very hard to do. Why? Because you're building into your business model a cost item that gives, right? Well, we don't see it as a cost item. It's a tithe or a donation, but investors will, and your business will. So the only one that has done it well that I've seen is Tom's. Tom's is one. They're obviously, they did it really well, and he just nailed it. and everyone wanted to copy him, which is great. He said in his book, he said, I'm glad that people are copying me. If people are copying me, more good will happen in the world. But it's also very hard to do. So I'm an advocate more of, if you can figure out a model that works, great. I think it's difficult to raise funding on it, VC money or angel money. But if you can make it work, that's awesome. But I also take the position that, if you're a Christian and you're running a cool business and you're selling something or you have a product that people use, well, you yourself are a social entrepreneur because you're going to give 10% of your money to some mission or your church, and you have that, right? So I kind of get split on the topic. Is I'm always kind of aligned to just build a profitable business, and then you're a Christian and you're going to do good with the money that you make. So put it to good use. I hope I didn't kill the social entrepreneur idea, but I think it's cool. I think it's just hard.
Well, all the conversations I've had, it's difficult because I don't personally think that the idea of putting the giving into the business plan is appropriate.
I think
you build an effective business, and it produces jobs for people.
Yeah.
But if there's a purpose behind it that is not just about making money, I think it can fit in that scheme.
Yeah, I think it's probably easier done with a digital business because you don't have a cost of goods sold. So you can sell something and then tithe off the top of that a lot easier than you would if you have to actually manage inventory and cost and have a competitive product in the marketplace. Just my 2 cents.
How many companies have you had die?
Have I had die? Oh yeah, I didn't talk about my failures. I actually had a slide. I'm actually writing a book called Permission to Fail. That's part of the license to go out and fail. I probably had, I had 2 actually make it to incorporation and die, and a dozen ideas that got some level of traction. And
Is that 2 including the lawnmower, or is that after the lawnmower?
well, the lawnmower was a success. No, my parents killed that one. That's including the lawnmower. Yeah, no, I mean, that's part of it. I didn't talk about that a lot, but I think having permission to fail and license to go and try stuff and risk stuff is critical to being successful as an entrepreneur, because you are going to fail along the way. I promise you that. And I will say, every time I failed at something, it opened the door for an opportunity that was even greater than the failure. A great example is Brew Drop. It was successful, but we failed at raising a larger round of financing. So we were left with, okay, did we go scrap it out with the well-funded competitors? A lot more challenging to do, or do we, sell to a company that's interested and move on to the next thing? So we chose the latter, but it happened as a result of me pitching an investor. He said, this deal was just done. I think the money for on demand is retracting. You should look to partner with someone. But I know the guys at Delivery.com. They're really struggling in the alcohol delivery space. You should talk to them. One thing led to another, and they bought the company. So, kind of failed along the way, and it worked out great. So, yeah, failure happens.
Can you talk about the Christian business that failed?
Yeah, still a sore topic. No, I'm just kidding. It was a Christian media company. I met a friend through church. He was actually the guy who prayed for me when I had that radical encounter with God, and it just totally wrecked my world. And we became friends. And now, by the way, starting a company with a friend is cool if you know how they operate in business. If you start a company with a friend without knowing how they operate in business, it could lead to a failed company. And that's what happened. Ultimately, there were some character issues that were unveiled. And we got to about 2,000 users, paying users, and it was a monthly subscription for inspirational Christian content, where we interviewed Christian celebrities, actors. We interviewed Stephen Baldwin. We interviewed a lot of folks. He's a B-list actor. But he's still an actor. He's pretty cool. But we interviewed them. We talked about what's it like to be a Christian in Hollywood. What's it like to be a Christian in business? So we interviewed CEOs and stuff like that. Really, kind of like the same vision I still have for the world. And ultimately, we couldn't get funding for that. was very hard because we had a social entrepreneur model, and investors didn't want to go near it. And it ultimately, it ate away the profits, and ultimately we had to part ways. So it was tough, but the vision is still pretty cool, I think, to create a platform for inspirational Christian content where you interview people who are actually out there in secular industries. That's what we were doing.
Talking about the life of an entrepreneur, and we see that most of the entrepreneurs are single guys. They can put in a lot of effort and burn the midnight oil and everything, but when you have a family and as a married person, can you speak about how you balance your entrepreneur life with your family commitments?
I really better nail this question.
No pressure.
I think my wife is better suited to answer this.
Can you repeat that? Yeah.
It's what's it like to be the life of an entrepreneur while you're having a family to balance? And he made the reference that most entrepreneurs, which is true, are single, so you have all this time to burn, and you don't have obligations. Well, since I took a roundabout route to become an entrepreneur or start doing it, I really started companies after I was married to my lovely wife, and she can attest to how stressful it is. But I think that the most important thing about it is staying grounded and having a relationship with God through prayer life and worship. And like, things are gonna go crazy during the day. It'll be super stressful when you're putting out fires and trying to solve problems and you're working 12 hours a day. And you know, if you don't separate that stress before you go back into the family life, you'll bring it back. You'll bring it in there. So you have to like detox, you know, get right with God, and start the new day fresh. And I think it's absolutely critical to have a really solid prayer life. And when things come up, to have a forgiving wife.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on that. Do you have children?
Not yet.
Okay, so I'm assuming at some point you've traveled.
Yep.
Okay, so before any successes, when you've got that travel time, how did you compensate that family time with the travel that took you away for what you're doing, what you believe you were called to do? And then how did you personally make up that family time with your wife?
That's a interesting. That's a cool question. So I actually try to avoid traveling as much as possible, and we just went on a trip. I got a business opportunity in the UK, and I went out there, but I brought my wife with me. You know, so that's kind of how as best as possible. And I brought her. She also, one time I had a conference in Santa Barbara, and she's like, I really want to come to that one. I was like, oh, sit this one out. We'll go to the next one. It was like on the beach in Santa Barbara, California. But she got to come to the one in Philadelphia, so that was
great.
That was cool. And it was like rainy and cold. But no, I try to bring. So my dad was a great influence on me. So my dad, he did the traditional Wall Street career, and so that's kind of like who I was following. It wasn't my calling, but I was like, you know, following my dad's footsteps. And he's a solid man of God, and he was one of the guys we interviewed during that Christian media company, and he gave some incredible lessons about how he's been super successful, but he's made decisions that have prevented his career from going like into the stratosphere because he wanted to stay closer with his family. So like when the guys are going out for cognac after a deal, he's on the train home to make sure that he gets home to the family. So cutting the day a couple hours shorter, just to make time for the family. And we always make sure that we watch a lot of movies. Like I'm also a big film buff, so we watch a movie like every day. So we always watch a movie together, like every day, like every single day I watch a movie. Not every day. Sometimes it's like a Netflix show. But and then we always get out on the weekends. I usually unplug at least one day of a weekend so that we can go do something. But you have to. That's my advice. You have to unplug. Put the digi down, as we say. Cool. Well, thanks for having me. This is. Oh, one more.
If you could go back and structure your Christian company differently, how would you have structured it?
Oh wow, that's an awesome question. So I think we had some systemic issues. The partners. So this is going to be a problem when you. I've heard the phrase, the partnership is the only ship that's guaranteed to sink. So make sure that when you are finding a co-founder or you are finding a partner for your business, you're equally yoked. Just like in a marriage, like you are literally, when you start a business, married to your founder. If you have a founder. So I think that what I would have done differently is, instead of with blind, unbridled enthusiasm for the vision of the business, I would have really prayed more about, are we a right fit together? Because he's actually someone really cool who I'd love to still be friends with. Had we never done business together, it would be a different story, you know? So I think that that's one piece of it. Probably would have avoided the social entrepreneur thing, because just cut away the profits, and it made it really hard to raise money. We raised a little bit of money, but not enough to really scale the business. And then would have had a better stack. It was built on WordPress. I would have probably done a Ruby on Rails app with a little bit more scalability than just WordPress.
I think you put a pretty good point when it comes to relationships. So for me, having founded and sold 4 companies and being married and having kids, yeah, it is about that. So even if you're married for 1 or 2 years, have a relationship for 1 or 2 years, that relationship is really a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old. If you have a business relationship with a partner, it's the same thing. It takes a while to get the business off the ground. If you're a 5-year haul and your 3rd year in, it's a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
It will act like one. And so, you know, it's from my experience to say, become with that mentality, think about the emotional maturity of your personal relationship.
Strengthening in your relationship, and we were 2 years married. Was it 2 years? Yeah, it was 2 years married when I started that Christian company. I left Shutterstock to start it. So I did 2 different stints at Shutterstock. I did 2 years, 2010 to 2012. I left to found this company. Within a month, it melted down. And I went into a hole. I was not as strong as I was in Christ then as I am now. And really, the trials made me stronger. But I went into a complete hole. Like, I felt like I felt like I made the biggest mistake by leaving Shutterstock. And for like a 2-week period, my wife was like, you know, I was out of it. I was not myself. It was probably longer than 2 weeks. But there are risks, you know. And I think that one of the hardest things about any marriage is when, you know, you have an ill child, or, you know, you go in business together, or you're married to an entrepreneur. Like, those are the things that really challenge, and then money issues, of course. Those are like the top 3 things that really challenge a marriage. And thankfully, I can't tell you how awesome my wife is. I'm embarrassing her, but
Can I say something?
yeah.
Just like observing and seeing business people and startup people, I think it's important for everyone, like this group even, to like hold each other accountable also for relationships with their family. And I don't really see that like implemented in the workplace. I think there's a lot of room to grow like as Christians in that way. So
That's awesome. There's a need for an app or a community like that, or a Slack channel at least, from a spouse.
What's your favorite Bible verse?
My favorite Bible verse is John 10:10. You know, the thief came to steal, kill, or destroy, but I came that you may have life and have more abundantly. Or actually, the number is escaping me right now, but I think earlier in the John 12, it might be, or 11, Jesus said, you know, he who believes in me, greater works than these will he do. Those are one of the things that I also read, and I was like, wow, I can do greater things? I believed it, you know, and wow, crazy thing to believe the Bible. But I was like, then I started like telling people, like, hey, did you know that if we believe in Jesus, we can do greater works than he said we could? And people were like, tone it down, man, you know, and just chill out. I was like, but the Bible said it, so that, like, Jesus said it, so you believe in him, right? Let's go do greater things. And everyone's like, just tone it down. But those are my 2 favorites.
So you feel like if you never would have caught fire from the Lord, you never would have become an entrepreneur or allowed that wouldn't happen for you?
Man, it's hard to say what ifs, but I know that it's, so like, I heard that I've heard it said by certain ministers, that one in particular, that like the moment you're created, your destiny is deposited within you. So God knew from the beginning of the universe that he was creating you for a specific purpose. It's not until you have your born again experience and you come into relationship with God that destiny is absolutely made manifest. So it takes the time to it takes a relationship with God before you can actually pursue what He's called you to do. And all along the way, He's leading you towards it. It's another one of those conundrums. But the veil is pulled back, and you're able to see clearly what it is He's calling you to, and you're listening and you're hearing with the ears that He's given you. So I'd say that I was created to be an entrepreneur, but in my own decision and ultimately out of probably was fleshly decisions and out of woundedness, I made decisions to pursue something that wasn't for me. And God restored that, and I'm very grateful for that. All right.
When you're thinking of an idea for a company, do you look first for a need in the market?
Absolutely. I'm a problem-oriented entrepreneur. I try to solve a problem or look for if it's something like the brew drop, it's where is there a current process that technology can innovate and make better? Uber did a great job of that. It's like people are hailing cabs for 100 years. They came along and put it in your thumb, So I look for ways to innovate on a current process as well as problems to solve. Totally. Cool.
Okay. Reminders, you need help with the next meetup and future meetups. As of right now, the next meetup isn't planned, so please help. And we need help planning the next hackathon. And, oh wait, that's from an old last time. Hey, if you want to help with the website and logo, we still haven't done that, but I just gave up. So join the Slack group. I think we have at least one announcement. Anne-Marie, I saw you sneak in.
Well, so this Sunday, a couple of missionaries I know in India will be in town, and they're going to talk about a group called Hands on Houses. And they work with a local community in India to build homes for widows. And they might need some help from a technology perspective. The last time they were here too, a couple of people ended up coming out to India and volunteering. If anyone might be interested in that, or if you're just interested in learning more about what they do and some of the challenges facing widows in India, it'll be 3 p.m. this Sunday at Clay Pit. If it's okay with Mark, I could post something in the comments feed too.
Yeah, please do that. Please do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, another announcement.
Hey guys, so it's really amazing, like how God calls you to different seasons, and part of my season recently has been getting called to all these different launch teams, and one has been for a new church in town. I come from Hillsong in New York, and so this is kind of the brother-sister church from Australia. It's called Planet Shakers, and the Lord just blesses the building today, which is really amazing. But we just launched our official sizzle reel video, so if you want to go online, I helped produce that. It's called Planet Shakers Austin, and what we're really excited about, and what I love about our pastor, Pastor Poncho, is that he's an entrepreneur. He created church mobile apps. So tons of different church apps that you use on your phone daily. He created most of those that help bring those to fruition. So he's all about having a pioneering spirit, and I love that. Just bringing that from our spiritual world to business world. We're just being pioneers together in this scene that's so needed when money and greed is the forefront of so many of these businesses. So anyways, Planet Shakers Austin, if you want to check us out. So I'd be really excited to have y'all join.
Cool.
On Facebook and on Twitter.
Whatever is so passe. Other announcements? Anyone? Okay, who would like to see my app? Anybody? Please, someone. Okay, so if you would like to see it, right now it's time for networking. But I will also be here just demoing my app. So if you want to come, actually there's monitors everywhere. But if you want to come up and see my app, you can just move forward. Otherwise, thank you for coming. Join the Slack, and if you can volunteer or plan anything, contact me or on Slack. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming.
Ted Anthony. Thanks. This is really cool. And Rob Nussbaum's a buddy of mine. I thought I read that there already was a hackathon set up at St. Ed's, or did I misread?
No, there's a hackathon for good, I think, that's going to be at St. Ed's.
Okay, so it's not
faith-based.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, so that's I think it was this last weekend, if I remember right.
So if I just want to start riffing, I'm a sales guy and I
Yeah,
have
no
been
problem.
for 15 years, but the heck, right? If I want to start riffing with you on, hey, how to help, maybe identify because our church,
Yeah. So
great facility.
So for the hackathons, we need help in a lot of things.
Yeah, and meetings and stuff.
Yeah, to participate, I mean, you don't have to be a coder. We have product people. I'm a product guy. I'm not a coder. We have coders. We have idea people. We even have a place where churches can come and pray during the hackathon. I mean, we really try to make it so that, hey, whoever you are, you can be participating in this hackathon in multiple ways.
Nice,
So.
because I run the men's ministry at my church, and I'm just looking any way to get guys involved, and just set themselves free from just doing nothing.
Yeah.
So
definitely, yeah.
But also help. It's a one hand shakes the other. Right?
Yeah.
So, msteven@me.com.
Yes.
And I can just start spitballing with you.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
okay,
totally.
Great.
Thanks.
This is really cool.
Awesome.
I really love it.
Glad you can come.
My wife was very jealous. I sent her pictures. She goes, "What?"
Well, this is also on YouTube. So
Nice.
I sent it out to.
So do you stream off of what do they call it?
I don't know what they do.
Google Plus.
So it's whatever they do here.
Oh, okay,
So,
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. Great job.
Awesome. Hard.
I'd love to help out with setting things up and maybe reaching out and getting my church involved with helping with food and things like
Okay,
that.
cool.
I want to see this more often.
Yeah, it's so we used to have this at the Tech Ranch, and we may still have it at the Tech Ranch. But what I would like to see, and this is my vision, whether I'm here or not, is that we get enough people that we can have it above. Because there's people in northwest Austin who have families and kids, and they don't want to travel all the way down here because of traffic. And there's people down here who think that's Egypt.
Yeah,
Right?
maybe like twice, two,
Yeah, 1 month. We were thinking about that. So I'm just going to play it by ear. So yeah.
And we have I don't think we could accommodate this many people. We could accommodate we do a Bible study in my office.
Okay.
And we hold like 10 to 15 people. I
Okay.
don't know if we can accommodate that many, but.
Yeah, I mean, but definitely if you, and again, this is the idea. Where's your office?
So we just opened actually.
That right, Shoal Creek.
He's on Shoal Creek.
Yeah. So again, get on the Slack.
Yeah, I added on the Slack.
Yeah, because one of my visions. I used to work downtown, and I tried to do this: is get people to pray together, right? It was like chasing cats. It wasn't the right time.
We would love to do that because we're there and we come from a very prayerful church. So
Yeah, totally. So I would like to see these throughout the community, like some up 360. So if we could have multiple spots, that'd be cool. But I realize I can't form that. There has to be people who want to do it. Yeah. So awesome. Cool. Thanks. Pleasure. Nobody wants to see my app.
I want to see it. That's why I'm here.
Oh, I did want to see the app actually.
Well, right here's the app.
Okay, so it's just
Okay.
you and me.
So this is generous prayer, right? And it actually wiggles a little bit. So when you log in, I didn't do the onboarding, but when you log in, it immediately takes you to the public stream. These are all my beta testers, my developers. So these are all public prayer requests, right?
Yeah.
And these are private ones. So if I had a private prayer request, let's say I want to create a prayer request, and so here we go. Pray for Chris. There we go, right? And let's say it's for health, right? The neat thing about this, we have expiration dates. I do not believe prayer requests should last forever. And so, let's say 2 days. So it's going to be, and it's a public request. I can also make one private, which is just me. I can have it just for my friend group, or I can make it anonymous. And I'm going to make this urgent, right? And so let's say I want to record it. So I'm hitting record. Yeah, pray for Chris. He's been really sick. Just heal him, Lord, and help him feel better. Amen. And I have that, right? I'm able to populate this system. That's a problem. Hopefully this actually worked. Heal him, Lord, and oh, there you go. It's even connected to the audio. There we go. So it did record. So, and I can also enter a text description, right? Which pray for Chris help, right? So let's knock this down. I'm going to add the prayer request. Okay. And so now it's going to be public, right? So you go over here to public, and then there we go, pray for Chris. So let's say I wanted to pray for this one. So I click it, and it takes me to the prayer details, and I can click I prayed, right? I can play it, right? Yeah, pray for Chris. So that's how you do it basically. There's also sliding things, so I can click pray, boom, and pray for it. So there's like different things.
So if I do a prayer on this, can I record my prayer?
Well,
If I have a prayer for
so it's really a request, but I mean, if you're praying for yourself, like I did it myself, right? So, but so you can have your friend circle. So these are people, your friends. It'll show their requests. I don't have any friends, certainly. Where they send, and then people who I'm following. So it's for Twitter concept. But so this is, and by the way, you can add friends through Facebook, Twitter. We have a map, so you can. We have individual accounts and we have organization accounts. So if I wanted to look for a church, right, I can find the church's prayer requests, right? Cool. So here's the prayer time. Here's the really thing. So let's say I want to pray for all categories, all types, right? I want to pray for the least prayed for first and pray the audio request. I want to pray for 30 minutes. Let's do 2 minutes. 2 minutes, right? And I want 30 seconds between each prayer request, right? So I'm basically queuing up all the prayer requests that fit all these categories, right? Because I'm just going to set, and it crashes. Wasn't supposed to do that. Let's try this again. I'm about to kill my developers. That's not good for a prayer app. You kill your team. Is it?
Work for your team.
Okay, let's try this again. Let's just do this. Right, let's do 30 seconds.
I like it.
Okay,
So then it's going to kind of show
yeah,
you.
it'll actually have a timer ticking down.
But you hear each of the requests?
Yeah, and you'll hear each request.
And then you pray?
I just want to see if I actually got...
So how long are each of these requests?
So the audio can only be 15 seconds, because I don't want people to go on and on and on. Right. So it's 15 seconds. Let's see what happens here.
So would you do one thing? Would you think about one thing? Give one more setting that allows us to record reading the scriptures so we can give it to our children, and then it sets the timer of what we want to say to them?
So yeah, so there's
I know, we're adding in beyond the MVP.
That's a different feature. That's actually a different app. So, yeah,
too bad.
So that's...
Because I want to use yours.
Well, we're actually, it's called Generous Word.
Oh, okay.
Right, and so that's actually,
Great.
it's a little bit different, right?
Good idea.
So and then you have, I wish it worked. You have your profile, and you can see your friends. I have no friends right now. I have no followers. I'm following you, right? And your notifications and settings, like push notifications, so on and so forth. That makes me really frustrated with that crash. So, but yeah, that's the idea. So the idea is that I'll get notifications when people pray for me, and so on and so forth. So,
Public requests, they go like a news feed in the order, in chronological order.
yeah, so the nice thing here is.
So if there are like thousands of users, so you will probably see like.
So the public stream, just like Twitter, is going to go by fast, right? That's why you have a friend stream, and that's why you have a following stream, right? So I can, like for example, if I followed, like here, let's go, let's look at Opti 45. So let me look at this person, right? Let me actually look at this profile, and I'm going to follow them. Okay? So now, they're not my friend, but I see all their prayer requests and they're following, right? So you're kind of creating filters. In future versions, if I ever get to them, you're going to be able to create your own groups. I already created one group called Friends, right? But in the future, I want you to create your own groups, so, because friends is so like, why am I not your friend?
Right,
you know?
right.
And I'm like, it's a different group. I mean, so you should be able to create your own categories, but for this version, it's just these four, right? So.
You could name
Developers.
You could name them Romans, Ephesus, Corinthians.
There you go. There you go. So, yeah. So.
So you can try to make money from this?
No, this is the one app that I had inspired that does not make any money, right? I should charge for prayer requests, like, indulgences, You want me to pray for you? $5.
So it's a kind of social network.
Yeah.
How difficult is that, like, for experienced developer to make? Like, how long does it take?
Well, if you're using my India team, you might as well just go die, right? Jesus is going to come back before this sucker's done. But it doesn't really take that long. I mean, what we built is, we have a platform, right? And this has an API to that platform. I'm trying to build a platform so that ultimately I can create other apps that access the same data. Right now, the prayer app is the first one. And it's not really hard to create a social network and those links.
That's kind of what I thought. Like, I don't know whether Matt shared with you the idea I sent, like, to him to discuss. If not, I can pull up and have it printed out. So it's kind of same social thing, but for money. So what I was saying, I come from financial world, and I was thinking, like, why won't we disrupt the whole system, the whole monetary Federal Reserve system? And I'm not talking about another cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency, in fact, when I first learned about Bitcoin, my first question was, are there any known laws of nature which would prevent other geeks from coming up with even better ideas behind cryptocurrency?
Yeah.
So it's based on the old paradigm. Like something of limited number supposedly should have some sort of intrinsic value automatically. It's kind of digital gold. It's based on belief.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking about, like, is some sort of social currency rooted in bartering, but to create a way to unbarter the barter. Kind of to introduce some sort of credits into the system, which would be as trusted as currency, but and with some sort of merchandise which people will always need at any time. So that way you unbarter the barter and you create like intermediary, like virtual currency within the system, which is pretty much a byproduct of transaction. So I'll pull up my description real quick. So I'll give it to you.
Cool. Can't believe it crashed. I'm going to kill these developers.
Did you get like TCS or something?
TCS?
Which contracting company did you go for?
Off the salt.
Sorry, man.
Yeah. It would be so frustrating if this isn't the only thing I have to do right now.
So I thought you found a job.
No, I've been looking forever. I interviewed with Google on Friday, up in Mountain View. So we'll see. I'll know in 5 to 10 days. I'm also interviewing with Amazon and a couple other companies.
So none of the places there in Austin?
Amazon's in Austin.
Okay.
Yeah, they're actually opening a position here. So.
Well, I hope you get one of those. So great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm definitely ready. I'm assuming, but if you haven't used this, I know you create mobile apps. Instabug is an error reporting device. You just shake it and you can submit bug reports. Awesome. It's not cheap, but it's awesome. And so I've been using it because that's how I communicate with the developers. And it plugs it right into the what?
Is it native?
Yeah, this is native. Yeah, Android. Android's right behind it.
So you built them all custom native, or had them built custom?
Yeah, native, Android, and then iOS. So, I mean, it's what they wanted. So it's fine. I'm not against native.
I feel like that takes longer. It costs more.
Well, I mean, they have different. Yeah. Anyways, I don't want to get frustrating. So let me take a look at this. Do you have your card or email?
I can leave you with
Yeah,
a list of
put there, and I'll actually read this when I get home, and I can talk with you that way. Maybe we can have coffee sometime if you want.
It's good fun.
So, I never got to sit down with any of Is there anybody still on the phone? Just, yeah. Or would you prefer email version, or is it in person?
Yeah, so I do B2B sales.
Okay, cool. Let's do that.
Companies that spend anywhere from 5 to 7.
I'm personally instead of taking all your time here.
How about you?
Oh, for HP.
I just moved here recently, so I'm still looking. What's your app? Santa Barbara.
Just crashed.
Oh.
Yeah, we were supposed to be launched by today. They did some changes that sent it back instead of forward. So basically, it's a prayer. So you log in, and it takes you to the public prayer screen, like a Twitter screen, right? With a prayer request. Prayer requests have audio. Yeah.
I've been trying to help more.
So that's actually yeah, but it's actually should be. So that's weird. Audio doesn't stop on that. Okay, there's a bug report. So, but
I like the concept though. You can actually hear what social
yeah, and so the idea is that when you run the timer, like you set the categories, you just set it down and it start automatically praying, and then it gives you like 30 seconds, 45 seconds of silence so that you can pray, and then it automatically goes, because we did a user study. We did a user study, and we tried to figure out like why do people not pray long, right? And it's because they get distracted, right? And so, thank you. And so what we but then I studied like what makes people pray for 4 hours, right? And it's because they always have something to pray for, like either like another person's there to create synergy or a couple or a group of people. But like I've been part of prayer groups, I can pray for 4 hours, like from like midnight to 4 a.m. Like, so I'm like, how did this happen so fast, right? It's because you never have distracted.
I liked what you did at the hackathon with creating a
prayer room.
setting. Get a really nice carpet rug, pillows, candles. It made a big difference. Like a dedicated space. Yeah.
It's definitely, we're hoping to do that again.
I dream of having a fireplace at some point, having a closet prayer. Yes, like a literal.
Yeah.
Just go in there and it's peaceful.
48 hours.
Yeah, it's there's.
Don't worry, I'm gonna work.
But yeah.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, go ahead and sign up generousprayer.org and sign up generousprayer.org. And go ahead and sign up. There's a place to sign up towards the bottom. And as soon as yep, thank you for coming.
Sorry I haven't been more help on getting code for the kingdom stuff.
Oh well, it's getting a venue. The venue is the hardest thing, and we've been wrestling with. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how difficult it's been.
I talked with Rob about, I have the contact at Silicon Labs, and I guess it hasn't been panning out.
Yeah. So, but we've been talking with High Tower. It used to be an old lodge over here near Zilker Park, and we were like moving along really fast, and then all of a sudden the person who we were communicating with dropped off the edge of the earth, literally, almost. I don't know where they went. And tonight I just got an email from them passing off to another person, like after like a month and a half of us like texting them like, man, it's like, hey, we need to make a decision because we want to have it in October, like towards the end of October. Between ACL and the holidays. That's a good time.
Sure.
And so hopefully we can move on that this week.
See ya.
Okay. Come on.
Thanks for your loaning shop.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to do this. So. But we're hopefully we can do it next month. We're trying to do it every month, and we just it's partly getting people to come, having the speakers,
The idea of having a set, there's single and no speakers, and just find just consistently
Networking?
networking.
Yeah, so we've done that, and
Okay,
it
9
works,
o'clock or
right?
maybe 10. But yes,
And
that.
when, the only problem was, so we used to have it up at the Tech Ranch, and I would still like to have it up there sometimes, because there's a different demographic from Northeast Austin than down here.
Yeah.
And they won't, there's like a membrane that they won't pass through, right? And so, but the problem was, it's so hard, like this is already set up. Like, this is so easy to set up. Up there, it's set up. And the doors lock at night. And so we have to have a doorman letting people in, like locks at 6 p.m. And so you can't prop up doors or anything, fire trucks come, they don't like that for some reason.
What about even, like, I've been going to real estate investing meetups, and a lot of them just meet in a restaurant that happens to have a side campers, and you can have your own little meeting.
Oh, the
And
Flying
then-
Saucer has an entire room that they regularly give away.
Yeah, that's where actually.
What's the
that's
seating
where
on
I-
that?
Oh man, easily 50.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
50 to
That's where I
60.
go for the real estate.
Oh, really?
shows and whatnot, yeah.
Where's the flying salsa? I've heard of it.
Triangle, where
Triangle,
Guadalupe is.
yeah, that's right.
Also, do you have a card? I don't know where to lead, but I do know a spot that might be free use that seats a lot.
Do I have a card? That's the question.
If not, I can Gnote, just write an email down.
Yeah, just.
All right, let's do it.
I mean, you have a wallet. I had a wallet. I paid the credit. I paid for the pizza. There's no wallet. There you go. Oh, my hotel. I don't even stay there anymore.
Is email best? Just
There's
in
another
case my
hotel
friend
key.
says yes.
Yeah,
is that the best way?
emails. Yeah, best. It's right there.
Oh, perfect. Cool.
Those are the ones. Yeah, I didn't really come prepared tonight with cards.
Perfect. Cool.
Yep.
No promises.
Awesome.
But hey,
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, appreciate it.
What do you think about that idea?
I like the idea, right? I mean,
Then it wouldn't be so much work. It's just like consistent. Everybody meet here once
Yeah.
a week.
yeah,
Like
we
no planning involved really.
join Slack. Can you do that?
I already am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Join that channel, the Meetup Planning and Suggested Idea. Because so one of the things is I'm interviewing. And 90% of my interviews are outside of Austin, and so I'm really concerned I'm going to be going. I mean, I don't want to leave Austin, but right. That's one reason I was like really pushing to get this happening, right? Because I'm trying to pass the baton.
Project manager?
Product. Yeah, not project. Don't insult me now. It's okay. No. And so I'm trying to help get other people engaged. So that, you know, number one, we need more people engaged, right? But also because I might be going. And the hackathon I can be more involved with because if we're throwing a hackathon, I can fly in for the hackathon.
What exactly is a hackathon?
Hackathon is, so what we do, it's called Code for the Kingdom, and we come up with like 8 themes, like social justice, poverty, Bible poverty, generosity, things like that. We have themes, right? And we ask people, so Christians come together, and we kick off on a Friday night, and we say, these are the themes, and if you any of you other guys have ideas, you can present them too, right? But basically, we want to form teams, spontaneous teams, to solve these problems in a way that you come up with, right? So we're not telling you how to solve the problems. We're saying this is a problem, like this is the theme of the problem, solve it, right? You got 48 hours. And people, you get coders, you get designers, you get product managers, you get people who are just like, I don't know, I can't do anything, I just have ideas, right? And they all come together and they work 48 hours straight, and then, well, almost 48 hours, and then Sunday afternoon you present your product that you built, and hopefully it works, mostly. And we have judges and we vote on it. This year we're going to be a little bit different. I don't know exactly what it is, but we're going to be throwing probably 15 hackathons all around the world the same weekend. So I'm helping them organize. Like last year we did 12 hackathons all over the world in October. Austin wasn't one of them. But this year I think Austin's going to be part of the global hackathon. So like it's going to start in like Jakarta, Indonesia, and it's just going to keep on starting throughout the year. And then of course on Sunday they're going to be presenting, and we can watch on live stream. Yeah. And so all these Christians and non-Christians can be part of it. I don't care. Are going to be presenting their solutions to these things, definitely from a Christian perspective, and then probably one's going to be chosen from each place, and then they're going to have another 4 weeks to work on it together, right? And then they're going to present it again, and then there's going to be a big judging contest. And I think this year we're talking about, it's not certain yet, but we might get given like a $10,000 prize, because we want some of these. So the goal is, a lot of these products are bad ideas. I'll be honest, right? I mean, what can you come up with in 48 hours? But some of them are, they're diamonds in the rough. And so what we're trying to do is trying to get people to get excited about them, get to a point and say, hey, if you want to move forward with this, we want to help you move forward with this. And so, like, my app actually started at Hackathon 2 years ago. That tells you how long it takes. It's not even launched yet. I've actually been actively developing it for a year now. I do have an Indian team that I will tell you not to use. And, frustrating. Anyways, so that was one launch. I've run crowdfunding platforms that I've built and launched. That I've had at multiple hackathons. Actually, at that hackathon in 2014, I had 2 products. So I was a product manager running between 2 teams, and one ended up in flames. And this one, it's actually in flames right now. So hopefully we can put it out. But but it's a really neat idea. We had like a prayer room. It's just a really great week. We catered. Whole Foods came in and catered the whole thing. Yeah, we won't be able to do that this year, I don't think, but unless we get sponsors. But we're just trying to figure out how to make it sustainable and create a movement of Christians saying like, hey, how can we come together and solve problems? And
it was neat to spend this whole block of time for what we said, being innovative. You don't really get to do that. I work in the corporate world, and even if you're a startup, you're innovative at the beginning. I mean, you got to implement, right? But you don't really get to problem solve.
So we have them in Seattle, San Francisco. I've been to both of those. Dallas. I think Clement went to Dallas, and Chattanooga, Orlando, all over the U.S., London, all over the world, right? Nairobi. What?
Does IP stuff fall under?
IP belongs to the team.
Okay. So whoever they decide to put on the team.
Yeah. Well, whoever the teams form themselves.
That's what I mean.
Right. And so it's your product. Whatever you decide to do with your product is your business, right? So you need to discuss with your teammates. Like some people I really don't care. I don't want it, right? Like for my product, I actually brought a product to the hackathon to take it to the next level. And everybody just said like, no, we're here to take this product to the next level. We don't want to own the IP. So which is great for me and great for the product because it creates less problems. Right. So yeah. So the hackathons are really great.
I was going to ask, what are the kind of the demographics the experience within the hackathon?
The vast majority of people are young and inexperienced.
Cool.
But you do get people who are experienced, right? But just think like who is going to spend 48 hours at a location, right? It's like a lock-in for a high school, basically. But people do go home at night and come back. Right? We hope you do find a way to shower. Actually, our venue is going to have a shower if we get the venue that we want. So, it's diverse, but definitely it's heavier on the younger. We had people from high school who came and did a 3D printing project for a water vapor condenser that could be 3D printed in third world countries and put in mass production, right? So you can produce your own water creator. And they won. I think, didn't they win? They won something. Yeah. It was a family. Yeah, the father came.
Science lovers.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like nerds with nerdlings. It was just so cute. But it was great. And so there's things like that. yeah, this is very diverse, right? The first one that we've only had two here in Austin. The first one was over at Acton, and that was they're always very different feels. Like they're very different feels. Like even Seattle's very different, and San Francisco's very different. And it's a lot of work to put on. But the hardest thing is the venue. By far, getting the venue. You can't plan anything until you get a venue. So. Well, so like the last venue we had was way too big. Like, I mean, it just felt like you got lost. Like you didn't see people. So it's better to have a smaller venue. That's kind of what we realized. A smaller venue. It was too small. It was too small. So it's finding just right. And so I think this other place will work if we can actually get them to schedule it. So it's right next to. They even have a swimming pool. And it's a really cool place. It's definitely 70s, like retro, but that's Austin weird, right? But they have Google Fiber, so.
Do you guys allow it being free, or is there a cap on how much you can afford to put towards real estate or venue?
So so this year we have to raise what we spend.
Okay.
Right. So whatever we decide to spend, we can spend. We just have to raise it.
Sure.
So through sponsors and churches, and so this is why we need a whole team of funding, and we need a team, right? I think we get like $1,000 like from the umbrella group, and so we'll probably use that towards whatever. But the rest, and we charge people like $25 to come to the hackathon. That's mainly just so that they show up, right?
There was before when it was free a lot.
Yeah. So, but it's not. I mean, they give promo codes out like mad. So, like you can get free promo codes.
Chris Armas refunded my payment.
Yeah. If you actually stay to the end of the week, like a lot of they'll refund it. Like the goal isn't to get the $25. The goal is like we want you here, like to value this. And so he's been playing different things like that. So. Yeah, I mean it's fun. I really enjoy the hackathons, and I'm really sad we didn't do it last year. We really wanted to. I was really sad that we didn't do it.
How hard is it if you come with an idea to actually get your idea working?
So what you do is so they pitch the themes, right? And sometimes we have certain sponsors that get to pitch their theme for like 2 minutes, right? And then what we do is we create a line. Each person has 1 minute to present their idea, and then after the end of that, basically people create signs, and then we say, okay, go to a project you're interested in. And so they go to the projects they're interested in. So you just have to sell it, like a good entrepreneur, right? You got to sell your idea. And actually that's how I got to the hackathon. Is I didn't even know about the hackathon until like that day, or maybe the day before, the first one. And I went to it, and they were presenting, and I'm like, oh, I have an idea. And so I presented it. I didn't think anybody would do it. They actually, I got a team, and I'm like, I wasn't expecting to be here all weekend. I was just like here this evening, and I was gonna go home, and I had plans, but okay, well, guess I'm here all weekend. So yeah, we built an iPad app that made it very easy, interlingual, that to present the gospel in a create your own adventure site. So basically, you had an iPad app. I don't know your language. You show it to people, in their language, and they get to pick something, and it tells a little video and a little story, and then it asks them a question, and then they have multiple choice, and they can pick. And so we had a huge, I mean, for the hackathon, we didn't have that many, but the potential is basically, because I used to be a missionary in the Middle East, and short-termers don't know what they're doing. Right? They don't know the language, they don't know the culture.
Sure, it's more advantageous for them.
It's for them, not for the thing. And I'm like, how can I make these people more effective, right? Give them a whole bunch of iPads, go out there, and then at the end, people can enter their cell phone, right? If they're interested in learning more, right? And then we could send them texts and get them registered and so on and so forth.
Did that die, or
was that the one that died?
No, that's another one that died.
Did it die?
Yeah, I mean, it was just concept, right? So I used to, I am still actually director of product development for a mission agency, and so it is such a cool idea. But you have to have people to build it, right? And it's
So it didn't fail, it's just.
it didn't fail. It's just like great, we created a
stasis.
prototype.
Yeah.
We created a prototype. Congratulations. Now what? Right? I mean, it's a cool idea because I actually liked it because, and then we would hook it into Salesforce for that ministry of that country. So we would get, it's a lot of work too, right? Because you have to have languages. You have to know, okay, who are there going to be the follow-up teams? How do we connect with those follow-up teams? And so, like Turkey, I know where I lived in Turkey. So, Turkish we could do, and I know the follow-up team, and there's this big database in Turkey where if I'm going to a village, I can look up that village and find out who's looking for a contact, and then I can go visit those people, give them Bibles, so on and so forth. And so the idea was to create an app, another data entry point into this database, but make it easy for these college students or these short-termers who don't know what they're doing.
Right. That's a great idea.
And also, they're, I mean, to tell you the truth, I've heard short-termers explain the gospel. Yeah. Like, wow, you're a heretic. Please don't explain that again. So it keeps it like, they keeps them in the bumpers. Like, it's like bowling, like bumper bowling. Right. Like, let's not have you explain theologically the Trinity because you don't understand it yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And Muslims are going to be really confused.
Right. Sure.
So.
Have you gone back?
What? Yeah, I go back. I've been back 2 times this year.
What's the next? Where did you live?
I lived in mainly Istanbul, but I would travel out in southeast Turkey and northern Iraq.
Cool. Southeast, how was?
Erdal, yeah, he's here. Yeah. So I actually have 2 here. Yeah. But Erdal's still at my house, and we're going to be bringing another one over. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's cool app. If everybody wants to build up an iPad app or Android app, whatever, let me know. I have too many ideas. That's the problem. So, okay, I think we're done here. We can close that.
What did Chris say?
Oh, Chris. Oops. Sorry, Chris.
Oh, that's all right.
I didn't say your announcement, which was if you're looking for a job, post it on the Slack group. So, what?
I haven't joined the Slack group yet.
You need to join the Slack. You need to get back into it. Like, there's life beyond marriage. I didn't even know you got married. Like, you just disappeared off the face of the earth. And
We stopped meeting for a while.
I just the Tech Range venue is so difficult. It's just like, because we have to have a door person, and you have to organize and put everything back, and there's all these rules, and it's just. Oh, he says October 21 to 23. He's still listening. Chris is still listening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the website.
Is it now? So that's when we need to have it. So. Yeah. So that's.
So.
Yes.
So. I want you to have our.
Only trust.
I want you to have our interface embedded.
Text with the green.
You mean take a look at the interface?
Yep, and I want you to use it because it's so much faster. We can put in so much information, and I'll even give you some development.
Oh, you mean in that? Well, let's get version 1 up, and then we can make it improve.
That's fine.
So here's a serious problem. Take it easy. Have a good night.
Oh, great to meet you again.
Yeah.
I'll email you in about 3 hours, so I don't forget.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you.
My investor backed out and left me about $3,000 and left to repay for developers. So I have to. So I'm trying to get the iOS launched because when the Android is launched, that's when I have the balloon payment comes due. And so I'm trying to get the iOS launched and then start begging people, hey, you love us? Donate.
Right. Was your investor the guy that came to the meetup?
What happened was, I understand, like when we started this, like the Indians said 12 weeks, and I told him that's wrong. It might be 8 months, 9 months. It could even be a year, right? Yeah, it was a year. It was 58 weeks ago. Yeah. And so what happened was about a month and a half ago, we got into questions of, like ownership and things like that, and I thought those were already kind of dealt with, honestly. I'm like, like when we started, like, there's no value in this app. Like, it's a prayer. You can't, and then, so but he wanted 20%, and I'm like, well, so we talked back and forth, and I'm like, okay, I'm okay if you having 20% of an app that makes nothing. However, I want you more engaged, because
He just gave you money, right?
he gave me only money, and which that's a lot. Thank you. I appreciate it. What happened was, since December, we've had a lot of betas. He's only beta tested twice. He's only opened the app twice, and that really kind of frustrated me. And like, I need you engaged. I'm not saying like 100% engaged, but I mean, I need more than that.
Right.
And because kind of like you said, partnerships are important, and if they're not engaged, they don't care. I don't want a financial partner, right? I mean, I love money, but for the app, I don't love money, but for the app, but I wanted more than that, and so he just kind of said, well, just consider everything up to now a donation, and I'll just bow out now.
Well, that was a good end.
Mark leads the meetup.
Yeah, well, it was. I mean, we're not. I like him, but it just unfortunately it left me with $3,500 owing on the project yet.
Right.
And I'm unemployed.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I mean, this kind of puts me in a very like, crud position. And so I kind of have to figure that out. So I mean, the Lord will take care of it, and I think I can raise some of that through donations. And I have a little bit left in savings, and I could throw towards it. But there better be a job.
Why don't you talk to the church that Ashley? I'm going to go to that church that Ashley was talking about.
Yeah, where was it? Was it a church or was it a group? Okay, yeah.
It's a church. When I find out about
Yeah,
it, I'll
shoot,
let you know.
shoot me, yeah.
Because I'm going to go there and say, I want to donate our stuff to put. If he wants to do that, and you want to build an app, we want to make it easy.
Yeah.
We want to make it so people can gather information easily, and you don't have to go. The Kindle apps are horrible.
Yeah.
When you try to really learn what that word says, it's poor. It's better on paper. And it can be changed. And so I want to put our stuff in there. I want to put our stuff in there. And so, anyway, we can do that with you too.
Yeah. I mean, right now I'm just trying to get this done.
Yeah.
Right. There's things that need to be changed. Like this app isn't even like there's problems with it.
Sure.
And even when it's launched, I know there's already UX issues. Sure. Right. And so there's things I want to change.
It always has to get better.
I have to find another
It never
dev team.
ends.
Right. I have to find another dev team.
Right.
There's other things on the platform I kind of want to build in beyond just prayer.
Right.
And those are their mobile devices. So that's one reason I'm hoping to get a job at Google, because I just want to be paid a lot of money. Because I have a curse of an entrepreneur, I'm going to port right back into other stuff.
Yeah, I understand.
And
Did you look at the openings here in town?
yeah, there's not a lot here in town. There's not. I'm interviewing for Amazon here in town, but there's not a lot of them. So.
If you need any references, just use me.
Oh, cool. We'll do.
Not that it would help that much, but say something good.
Hey, what helps helps, and but yeah, it's just trying to get this launched. Like it has to launch. It's just, and even this is the problem. I think they've changed developers, and they just don't know what they're doing now anymore because it's been so many changes, right?
Can you tell me who you use?
It's Optisol. It's a company in India. They're super cheap. This is why the investor went with them. And I couldn't say no. It was his money. And so, but it was. I mean, they're building it, right? They're just very sloppy, and it takes tons of iterations. They're like, hey, why didn't you catch that bug? Fix this bug. Right? And in the meantime, it's just agony, right?
Darren's teaching
Which Darren?
Seriously, he's
shoot,
that-
shoot me his information because I at least need a code review.
He's that kind of guy.
Yeah. So that's one of the criteria of paying the last bill is code review. I don't have anyone to do a code review right now. I would like someone to do a code review because like when I see like I just got a bill yesterday and I looked at it and within 10 seconds I found like tons of major problems. It really infuriated me. Because I'm like, guys, I know you didn't even QA this. Because if you QA'd it, you would have seen this, right? I should not be getting stuff that's not QA'd. Like, now, it may not work. You should send me stuff and say, hey, we know this doesn't work, right? But you don't send me something that is this garbage, right? And it just really, I actually, first time I've ever yelled at them, right? Because I'm just like on the end of my.
You need to have Darren's.
And I'm like, and I said, I want you to understand, I'm not so upset that it's late, because I knew that coming into this, right? And I wish, of course, I am frustrated by it, but what I'm upset about is continually getting new builds that things aren't fixed and other things are broken now.
Right.
Where and I'm like, these are things I see. What scares me is what I don't see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And you will find it.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'll find it once we launch.
Right.
When we get 100 people on the site.
And then what?
And then like their slow turnaround, it's gonna it's gonna be a disaster. So that's my frustration is it's not what I see because it's what I don't see. And
okay.
That's my frustration in my life.
All right. Well, I'll send you the information with Darren.
Awesome.
I'll make an email invite.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, don't
Can I show you something? Can I show you something real quick?
Please do.
So, this is just another iteration of our. This is our launcher. Okay, and you'll see that it moves to you. But that means that it's really fast. Plus secondary menus. See, so that's how we could bring up the stuff on your list right away. And then you just move to what you want. And we just did this for the automotive industry, and this would be really cool to put in something like this. This is a music player, but this is the reality is it's any kind of menuing system where we can go, scroll through what you want, and then choose the album, choose the tracks, automatic up and down. All this is changes, but it's the direction you're moving. It's not having to get to a place. It's that I'm moving in that direction. So therefore, it doesn't matter where I touch. It's direction based.
Yeah.
So this can be anywhere on the screen while you're in what you're doing, with the ability to navigate multiple things and big menus.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. So, and then works on all on the
Cardboard. Okay.
So we can probably take your app.
Well, and that's the one thing is I don't want to innovate too much on this app because what I'm saying is because I see other opportunities, Amazon Echo integration, Apple TV integration. Because my goal is not to I don't want tons of features on this, but to take the platform, the access to all this information, and get you in different places. Like Siri. Siri's about ready to launch custom apps for Siri. So I can say, pray for blah blah blah, and it'll create a prayer request, and boom. Right. That's what I want to. So I'm like, I don't need to up the platform. What I need to do is now spread it across,
different kind of environments.
Exactly, different environments, right? So like an Apple TV environment would be great for certain situations, right? We already have iPad, iPhone, Android, tablet.
Well, listen, I can contribute a very little bit financially, but I'll contribute other ways too if I can. Just let me know.
Well, let's just continue to play with it. I talk about it. Let's have coffee sometime.
Great.
And see where it goes.
Because I think it's a great idea.
It's. There's other prayer apps out there that I don't like them. That's my humble opinion. And because they're very much like this is the other prayer apps.
Are they audible?
No.
See, I think that's the cool part.
But let's look at Instapray, for example, which has multiple millions of dollars invested in it.
So where are you housing all of
Amazon. Okay, Instapray requires me to log in. I'm not going to log in. So here's another one, right? And so here are all their prayer requests, collecting them. It's taking a long time, right? And so this is just now, 32 seconds ago, 1 minute ago, right? And they're getting closer to what we want. They've added a lot of features like nearby and things like that. But when you have lots of things, like these go by really fast.
Yeah.
Right? And number one, like, okay, like what, pray now? Okay, I'm gonna pray for you. Did I just pray for that person?
Oh, right.
No, right?
Right.
And like I see, like I've posted prayer requests on these sites, and I get so many clicks, right? Because it's happened so fast. I don't believe. I really feel bad about saying this now.
Sure, that's good.
But what it is that's why the killer app on my phone is not putting up prayer requests and notifications, blah blah blah. That's not the killer app. The killer app is the prayer timer. Being able to sync up all the requests I want, according to categories, friends, whatnot, set it down, hit play, and it just starts feeding them to me, right? In a voice, right? But it starts feeding them to me. It takes over the phone. I'm not going to be interrupted. Right? And I can have that 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, or 5 minutes, or 30 minutes, or whatever long in prayer, because I'm always getting a new prayer request. It creates that human touch, that I hear that person's voice, right? That's the thing is, like, my prayer time, I have a hard time because I'm like a list, I'm trying to remember, right? I'm playing with my phone because I'm looking at my phone because I'm addicted to my phone. But when you take over the phone, you can't play with your phone.
Close your eyes.
Close your eyes or whatever. The thing is, like, if I touch it, then I completely destroy the environment, right? And so I'm not going to do that.
That's good.
And so the one device that draws me away from prayer is going to draw me to prayer, right? And iOS is a little bit harder because you have to kind of put it on Do Not Disturb and then start it. That way, notifications. Yeah. But so this is why I chose to actually purposely put it on the phone, because my goal is to remove the distractions by taking over the distraction maker. Right? And I think that's the killer app, because so analytics. I'm going to build analytics into this because I want to know, am I getting people to pray longer? That's my goal. Like, I don't care how many times you pray. I care how long do you pray. Because anybody can click, I prayed. Right? No, you read the prayer request. You didn't pray. Right? I want you to pray. And even 15 seconds is better than 1 second. And so I want to know how long in duration people will be praying and using this app. And so that's my heart, is that I really want you to just take that time. Right? It's not a lot of time, it's easy, but just let's take it 5 minutes, completely focused in prayer. And of course everybody's going to get a notification, and then they'll pray for you. And so, there's a synergy there, right? But
we'll test it out for you too.
Yeah, I want people to test
help
it.
you, and we'll go because that's. I know on our own apps we need that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we'll do what we can.
So cool.
Great.
Pleasure.
Okay, we'll stay in
Talk
touch.
later.
All right.
I'm going to go clean up some.
Yeah, I mean, it's, so there's some interesting.
Probably not as much more new.
Practices.
It's definitely a minority, at least in startup. Science teams. I don't. But
Probably more Christians.
You're right, there's diversity. That's a great choice.
my coworkers at work here. Are you?
That's where this starts.
You should be
So
I could get the message. 20% of the people who live here in Austin. That's right.
last 2 years, I'm on file.
Oh, sure. Please.
This is the
Yeah. hardest.
Yeah.
Help people move into the finish line. It's always what they're called to do. It's always who got anything to do? Special.
Who got me here?
And a lot of Indians. I had it. Rachel.
I love how informal it is. I think it's what I'm prouder with. I like that. More.
It is happening here.
Well, so we're trying to keep it close to.
This is Capital Factory.
You imagine what help people there.
I look forward to talking. Oh, they need sponsors?
I mean,
You know, actually the yeah, I can. I love it.
Nice meeting you, Michael.
because someone got to do them in this cane.
Business.
Yeah. In this cane is like,
Yeah.
And when did you
That's, I mean, that's very much because it's here, it makes it.
I do know.
Whatever it takes.
Every person had a question, and they're like, as dependable as realistic.
And your parents are.
I'm just like,
You have that
like, oh, I'll check. I'll check.
That's cool.
Let's never check. Or this is. Basically, I gave up. This is the problem, is like, we don't have meetings, because I'm always like, looking at.
I mean, it's not hard.
Like, okay, this next week, I'll just bring maybe the whole set of people. I never get to except this time. So. Yeah, so we.
Oh, okay, cool. No.
Yeah.
So we're just
quick.
Perfect.
So, sounds like it. Yeah.
It's all about. Drop starting.
Get speakers. By the way, it doesn't even have to be speakers, right? It can be activities, right? But sometimes we did like mini hackathons, just thinking about solving problems.
Not scary away. Go for it. No, there's need more players. There's a podcast, but it's a very awesome.
So I've got a buddy in Spain who's got a housing company, and so I'm gonna help him fulfill his United States. So that's the text I want.
Awesome.
It's the tough thing about this community.
No, not necessarily. It's more like,
You know,
sports
as a Christian, we got a place called church.
It's weird because anything that happens.
And for Texas, we have tons of meetings.
Sunscreen.
And so,
Now that's considered.
what is it that we're trying to do as a
Academic
capital?
slash drug.
And I think what we've discovered before is many times it's sort of like, they just feel lonely. The problem is they feel lonely and then they meet us and then they connect and then they don't feel lonely anymore. And so like 80% of the people who come to these meetings are always new, right? Which is great, but we're not really growing in size. So there's huge user attrition.
I do nothing
And so I've always been trying to like.
Getting beers to later. Six pack at a time.
So hard, 1 6 pack at a time.
Right.
But, well, there was a very complex legal framework we had to understand. You know, so
what actually kept the space from starting. Yeah, like the technology was invented in 1995. Like a website that routes orders is simple.
Right.
But people, entrepreneurs stay away from it because of the perceived barrier to entry. Really, all you have to do is investigate, look, and learn, and then there's a way to execute. And now there's over 50 competitors.
Now the cool thing about these is like
or do what Uber does, break them, break glass, until they
Get enough money.
You see that,
Law doesn't work, change the law.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
This is cool, so I love the bus. I think that's what's really great about it.
So yeah, join the Slack group.
Do that. Join, and that's a big part of my heart, so I'm blessed for that.
Oh, the weird, yeah, today.
All right.
I mean, there's people do that all the time. They're like searching for that, trying to leave that form link.
Yeah.
I found it, I changed it, so.
Awesome.
Now it's much easier. I didn't, go ahead and go back and forth and do it. We had to go out for email either email address.
They still have, I think it's very conceptual as a campus.
There'd be supernatural ability to learn.
So crazy busy.
It's gotten a little bit better this year, but partially because I had the same goal last year.
Yeah.
Better,
It's cool, man. I hope you crush it.
So here's my card for my day job.
Oh, cool.
As the wife of a potential serial
Startup
entrepreneur,
wife.
right?
Yeah.
Startup
So
wife.
when we're praying, I saw like a picture of like a lot of open doors. Just thought God was seated.
So hopefully.
There's been some that I totally never put
I'd like to
I know the guy who's
actually, I'd like to see what's coming north, and this is very different than graphics, right? Like when we had a tech right.
That's awesome.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and plus I don't think anybody, like,
God bless.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your presentation.
People down here?
No, that's all right.
Yeah, like people like, that's Egypt.
Okay,
You know,
cool.
it's not Egypt.
It was nice to meet you.
It is traffic. Yeah.
Catch you guys up.
And so, I would like,
Starting a startup idea.
it's like we have
First
here,
time?
it's
Yeah,
like,
it's
it's
Awesome.
What do you think I came?
another location, it's still had a network, it's still sending like speakers, for the main speaker, and like breakouts, and do that. There's a lot of stuff.
That process, where you don't need to develop a notification or about a small frame, you don't really need to know all that
But
notification.
also, I kind of have
Like, your notification children. Because it responds.
In 1 month? So it's a busy time in your household now.
I'm the one who's leading this, and nobody's on board, but they usually don't value it.
You say that because
We hold, I believe, so that's yeah, exactly. But this one, I think it is
interacting with your product.
because I'm going to go. We have a lot more people.
The ones you adopt
There's
in
different MCs every week.
It's crazy. Lose attention for some of the other ones. And the ones who do the size of that, it's always
I'm gonna be the one, we're gonna be the speaker.
I'm not sure yet, but we'll see where it goes.
Great.
To make sure
So,
that
I've been trying to test it out with my daughter. It's been up and down a little bit, trying to figure out how to, because I did some startup stuff in the past with like nonprofits, and that one kind of failed, with just too many markets.
partially, right?
It's like,
But then,
YouVersion has made a big difference in people's lives. I think there's a lot more avenues that people have not discovered, and I think that nonprofit is a good way, but I think there's also a way to make business out of it. So one of the North Star for this thing that is well, not only because it helps small groups, but it helps churches. They ask their members to
that's just going on to you.
that so that they can text a number and say, I want to pray for this, and then the church can pray for that person and get that real-time notification.
Yeah.
Or you can apply this set this dynamics for missionaries. Missionaries are often very specific to certain areas.
We're building it.
But they also want feedback. But if you can have that text message feedback that's instant. And not only that, once you're going to although we are professions, I met other religious people, other religions that want to try this. But on top of all that, what if you can gather all this data and there's
The middle name might be Bryson.
and then the church can target these things better. So they can have publish subscribe books that people actually like.
I'm Rachel. Very nice to meet you. And what is the business that you're starting?
So when it comes to market research, it's all about understanding what people need. Prayer requests are all usually what it is. So like
Okay.
so that's my vision.
Okay.
Hey guys, start wrapping this up. We're going to be cleaning this out.
Well, for the last couple of years,
So what happened was
lots of companies that the people just got started within the last couple of years and have businesses that are 1 million,
private networks to schools, help them with the analytics and what kids are actually doing, and really identifying at-risk students, their social media.
Yeah, I'm like right now.
Yeah, they do it right, they can
There's
grow.
something better we can do as a university to make
Yes,
cooler stuff
very nice to
available,
meet you.
get you engaged.
So, guys, Gainer, it's cool company. But, so, I mean, let's see what we can do.
we could share, and the ways that we have learned special things, like I was asking you, special things that you can do to make up things to not lose track of, especially falling in the hole.
Be sure to post your thinking on
My wife would love to.
Right now, we're
I think it's
doing
important
UI,
to use your spouse, a voice as well in the situation.
and then we'll roll that out and try and test it. beforehand. And then
It's like your
when we actually roll out,
affects the
we'll
two of you.
start some of the
Well, there's like
big times.
no structure in startups too, so there's like an unpredictability.
Where we learn this.
You have this foundation of what to expect as a couple and
We're not gonna have a great
Negotiate for some ups and downs.
then everything's president.
Or even for somebody else to go talk to outside our own relationship.
Yeah.
That's right.
So it's about trying to get students involved in other things outside of work, organization stuff. So they can just naturally
I always follow up, so I would have to do that one. I'll give it to you the way. Okay, cool. All right.
They're kicking us out, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, wait for you.
Here's that, sure.
Sometimes, like, we can, you can just see what do you feel? You know, advice council.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
You know, get on the Slack group, communicate.
Glad Jonathan.
Thank you for your talk.
Yeah, thank you for coming. It was really cool.
Are we good?
Hey, how's it going?
Aaron, just want to meet you real quick.
Aaron,
I
nice
work
to
out
meet
here
you.
too.
Yeah, I thought I'd seen you around.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you do?
I've got a startup called Think
Think Up? Okay.
So it's a student engagement platform for schools.
Okay.
To help kids stay in school.
Awesome.
But it basically is it's kind of like a social network for actually being social.
Okay.
As far as like kind of private networks, school, clubs, activities.
Awesome.
Then you get to publish it.
Yeah, I saw it.
Kind of allow people to create things to events, follow real teams.
Who's taking this
Maybe we
pizza?
got a game or practice.
Yummy pizza. It's
You might want to play basketball right now. So
Okay.
finding a real community, bring people together, actually do stuff.
Awesome.
It's full of gluten and meats
I'd love to connect.
and sausages and juicy bits.
But yeah, I work out here, so.
Yep, I'm ready to go to
Let's connect.